everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I am going to be doing my birth story with you guys, my labor and delivery story. I know it's not like I just had my son, but I did want to share this with you guys since I really wasn't on, YouTube then. But I also did ask you guys if you would like to hear my story, and you guys all said yes on Instagram. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. First of all, actually, I'm watching my son through the monitor because he's currently sleeping. So hopefully I get to finish this for you guys. So let's go back to basically a year ago. So my son's birthday is tomorrow, so he's gonna actually be turning 1. Like I've always said, time flies. Can't believe he's already gonna be 1 year old. Like, it's like crazy how time really flies by so fast. But yeah, so I had actually a doctor's appointment on the 28th. And the reason why I had the doctor appointment is for them to check the size of the baby, and how big the baby was going to be, because every time I actually had gone to my previous appointments, they said that I was measuring, bigger than what I should be. So they wanted to make sure that baby was not going to be super big, and that, that they thought that I wasn't going to be able to deliver him naturally. So yeah, that's what the appointment was for. So just before that, actually, we had had already scheduled like my date to be delivering my son by Friday. So when I had the appointment, that was on Tuesday, so that was the 28th, but they actually already had given me December 1st. If I hadn't delivered him by December 1st, they were gonna induce me that day. And so I was, I was like, yeah, I always thought that he was gonna come sooner than later. My actual due date was December 8th. So I was like, no, I can't, like, that's way too, long still to come. And so I always, was thinking, no, like, he's gonna come sooner than that for sure. So, since they started the weekly appointments, when you're about to give birth, they do weekly appointments for you to check, like, if your cervix, and if it's opening or softening and things like that. So the first appointment that I went for the weekly appointment, I actually already was like half a centimeter or almost like a centimeter like dilated. And the nurse actually was really surprised, because she was like, is this your first, your first son? And I'm like, yeah, he is. I've never, given birth before. And so she was really surprised. She was like, oh, this is really good news, like not everybody, on their first child, get dilated like soon. And so I'm like, okay, well, that's good news, So they did, like, I think 3 or 4 appointments, or 5 or something like that appointments, and every appointment that I actually had gone to, I was dilating more and more and more. So like the following appointment, I was already dilated like 2 centimeters, then 3, then 4. And then the week that I was gonna do the 5th, the 5th appointment, I had that appointment for, to check on the weight and see how big the baby was gonna be, so they can make a decision whether, to have him come sooner, or, if I could just wait a few more days and just deliver him on December 1st, which was the date that they had given me. And so we went to that appointment. I remember it was at 8 in the morning. It was a Tuesday morning, and they measured him and everything, and they said that he was probably gonna be about it could be like 8 to 9 pounds. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that's a big baby for me, you know, I'm very petite. And so I'm like, okay. So then after that, we had to go to my doctor so he can, you know, suggest or see what, you know, what needed to be done. And so we did. We went to that appointment, and then we gave him the, you know, the document that they gave us, and he immediately, you know, said, okay, the baby's gonna be a big, you know, pretty big baby for you. He could be around 8 to 9 pounds, so, you know, we don't want you to wait a lot longer to have him. And so then he had to check, of course, my cervix, and he did. And when he checked that, he was really surprised. He was like, oh wow, he was like, you're about 5 centimeters dilated and your cervix is soft. And so he said, you're gonna go across the street, because actually the hospital that I was gonna have my son in was just across the street from where we were at. And he said, you're gonna go across the street and we're gonna have this baby today. And I was like in complete shock. I was like, what? I was nervous. I got really nervous. I told him, because we weren't prepared, we didn't have like no extra clothes, no diaper bag, no nothing. And I even asked him, I'm like, can I actually go home and, you know, get my things and then come back to the hospital? He said, no. He said, you're gonna go right across the street and you're gonna have this baby today. Your husband can actually go to your house and get all of your things and whatever you're gonna need. And I was just in complete shock, like, you know. And my husband was like, okay, I guess I'm not gonna go back to work tomorrow, you know. So he was all excited and happy. And but yeah, so once we left there on the car ride to across the street, basically, because that's where the hospital was, I just cried because I was just nervous, you know. Like, I called my mom and I told her, and I told her to basically get ready, because, you know, Rigo's gonna be coming for you, because the baby's gonna come today. And so yeah, it was really early still, so she got ready and everything, and they I went across the street, and then my husband left. So there I filled out, like, you know, papers that you have to fill out. They give us a room. They did ask me a lot of questions, and they basically, you know, were explaining what was going to happen. And basically I was getting my labor induced, and so they had to, you know, break my water. It hadn't been broken yet. And so basically I was there for like about 2 hours or so, just, you know, answering their questions and getting to know them and all of that. And they started to put like the IV on me and all of that. So yeah, just getting prepared. And then like at around, I believe it was like around 12 p.m. So my baby woke up. So he's actually gonna be in the video with us. So say hi, baby. Say hi to everybody. Say hi to the camera. Say hi, everybody. Yeah, I'm telling them about when I had you. Yeah, when you were born. So basically at 12 p.m. They broke my water and everything, and so and so yeah, say hi. They're right there. And so basically, once they broke my water, you know, they told me, they explained how it was gonna feel, and it wasn't, I don't remember it being painful. I don't remember it being painful. It was pretty fast. And then told me what was going to be next, which was going to be, I believe they were going to put some Pitocin to induce or to start the labor, or to start actually the contractions. And so they explained to me that I can, you know, I was going to start feeling contractions and things like that. And so, yeah, so I was, you know, already 5 centimeters dilated, but, you know, when I went to the hospital, so they put the Pitocin in, and then, I mean, I felt pressure, but I never had, you know, felt like a contraction. I didn't know what a contraction felt like. So I was just very, like, not aware of, you know, the pain or whatever, you know, anything like that of like a contraction. And so they did start, but they weren't, I felt just more pressure than anything, like on my back. And every time, you know, like the nurse would come in and she would check on the monitor, she would tell me like, oh, are you, like, how are you feeling? Are you feeling okay? Because actually the contractions were pretty, you know, were pretty high. And then she, you know, she just said, oh, you're doing really, really good, you know, keep doing the good job you are doing. And so, yeah, like, you know, they checked me, I believe, again. I think that was around like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. And by then I was actually already like 8 centimeters dilated. So they said, you know, you're 8 centimeters dilated now, so there's 2 more to go. So everything was just happening really, really fast. And yeah, I mean, I started to feel a lot more pressure like on my back and like the actual contractions and things like that after they had checked me. And so I got up, you know, out of the bed, and then I went, I told my husband to, you know, let's go around, walking around the little area. And so we did, we walked around the hospital. And that's when I really felt like a really big contraction. And I'm like, oh no, like I can't do this. Like I need the epidural. Like I'm not gonna be able to do this. It was really painful. And so, I felt another one going back when I was back in the room, and the husband, you know, was massaging my back and things like that, but it was really, really, you know, hard contractions. And so I was like, no, I can't do this. I need the epidural now. So I told the nurse, and so then she told me that, you know, they were gonna wait for the specialist to be available so that they could, so that he can put in a epidural for me. And then, yeah, so he came in and he explained to us, I believe I had to sign a document, and he told my husband that he was going to be holding I think it was like my hands or my legs or something. I was just kind of like sitting down. Hold on, baby, mommy's talking, okay? So I was like kind of in a sitting position, and like my husband was, you know, looking at me, facing me. And so then the guy put in the epidural, and yeah, I felt it, but it wasn't like, you know, not super painful, but I mean, you could feel something. Obviously they, you know, are injecting something in your back, so you're gonna feel something. And so then once he did that, I still was feeling contractions, and I'm like, when is this gonna work? Like, you know, like how long is it gonna take for it to take effect? He said, oh, it should take about 10-15 minutes. And then he explained to us that there was like a little button on the side where I can actually request for more, you know, the medicine, so then it could help me. And so I'm like, okay, can I press it now? I can't press it. I wanted to press it because I was still feeling the contractions, and I was just very impatient. And so then after it kicked in, I was fine. I was, you know, my husband says I was taking selfies, and, you know, like you don't feel no contractions at all. So yeah, that happened, and by this time it was already maybe like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. And so basically, I just had to wait to, you know, for my cervix to fully dilate to 10, to go ahead and start, you know, pushing. And so finally around, I think it was like around 5:30, they came in to check. to check me, and they said, okay, they said, you know, you're already 10 centimeters dilated, so we're gonna go ahead and start. And this was around like 5:30, yeah. And so then I started, you know, like with the little trial pushes or whatever, and I honestly did not know the hang of it or how I needed to push, or, you know, for how long or whatever. And so the nurse was kind of guiding me. Are you pooping? You're pooping, huh? You little nasty boy, you're farting. Yeah. I started to push, and I was exhausted, and I was just tired, and I hadn't ate all day long. So, yeah, all I was, you know, eating was like drinking was water and like ice chips and stuff like that. But when I started really pushing, like I got super tired, I got super dehydrated, so I like threw up, but I didn't obviously throw up anything because I hadn't eaten nothing. But yeah, started pushing, and it took me 2.5 hours to deliver this little guy. But yeah, it took me 2.5 hours, and finally he came out. I just was so exhausted every time, you know, like the doctor was like, okay, you know, push, like, you know, once you have the epidural, like you don't feel it, but all you feel is pressure that you need to push, you know, so that's what I actually was feeling. And yeah, I just felt the pressure to push, and he came out, and I just couldn't believe it. I was like so in shock, and I was just so tired. I think I was more tired than anything because it was just a long process. But honestly, it only took me like 8 hours, you know, for that day that, you know, when I had him. And a lot of people say that that's really good because, you know, people could be there for 24 hours, 36 hours, 48 hours. Like they can have contractions, you know, for so long and only be dilated like 1 centimeter or so. But I think what really helped me is that I was already dilated 5 centimeters when I basically got there. But, you know, I was just afraid, like, you know, now that I think about it, I'm like, that could have been really bad because, you know, I was still kind of driving around. I wasn't, you know, like obviously going to, you know, so far or anything like that, but I was just driving still. And so that would have just been really scary if like I would have gotten contractions out of nowhere, like at a store or something. You know, you see stories or you hear stories all the time on the news and stuff of people having them in like bathrooms and stores and restaurants and all this. And that actually could have been me because, you know, I was already dilated 5 centimeters, you know, so that's just scary to think of. So thank God, you know, everything went well. He's here, and I can't believe he's already gonna be 1 tomorrow. You're a big boy, huh, baby? And he's a really big boy. He definitely is not gonna be short like me. You're not gonna be short like mama, huh, baby? But yeah, I just love him. And you know, once the first night actually that we were there, he was really good. He slept all night long. Like, you know, he woke up and he was just kind of like, and then he went back to sleep. So we were like, oh, this is gonna be like a piece of cake. Like, he's not, you know, crying. He was good. The only thing that he did have was the jaundice. And so I just keep checking. They did all of the tests. Everything was fine. He passed them all. And yeah, so the second night that we were there, the nurse, you know, we kept on telling her, because I told her that I did want to breastfeed him, and so they, you know, they definitely encourage breastfeeding if you are gonna want to breastfeed. But you know, once you tell them, yeah, they don't really want you to give them anything else other than breast milk. But you know, with us not knowing that the jaundice, you know, a way that the babies could get rid of it is basically by going to the bathroom, because that's how they, you know, get it out of their system. He was, I guess, not really, you know, like pooping or peeing as he should, or even like with my breast milk, it wasn't even like fully out yet, so it was just like the colostrums or whatever they're called, that I was having. And so they said it was going to take some time for the actual breast milk to come out, but I'm like, okay, well, now that we know all of this information, it's kind of like, well, they didn't want us to give him like formula and stuff, and they only wanted me to breastfeed him, but he wasn't peeing and pooping enough, so obviously he needs formula too. So the second night he was crying, he was every 20-30 minutes, every hour, like kind of because he was hungry. And they didn't, I asked the nurse, I'm like, oh, can we have some formula, maybe he's still hungry, and she said, oh, well, we don't really recommend it because, if you want to breastfeed, they will be getting confused and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, I still want to give him formula because I'm not sure if he's actually getting anything from me. And so she finally, like after 2 times of us asking her to bring some, she did. And she just told me to give him like this much of the formula, which I understand their stomach is small, they're newborn, so they don't drink a lot, but yeah, so he drank that, and he was fine for a longer period of time, so he was definitely hungry. And even with like the pacifier, I asked them for one, and they said, no, well, we don't really recommend it, and blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, if we're asking for it, like they should be able to give it to us without like questioning or telling us no, or their opinions, like sometimes, because we're the parents, so that's just what we wanted to do. But yeah, so he finally slept and he was a lot better, and came home on Thursday morning. So I delivered him on Tuesday night, and then we came home Thursday morning, so it was pretty quick. Yeah, that was my birth story, so I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'm sorry if he wanted to give you guys or his side of the story, huh, baby? Because you're a big boy now, huh? But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Please, if you did, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, for more videos, and I will see you guys in my next video. Say bye, baby. Say bye. Say bye. Good job. I love you.